for joining. Welcome to the Talking Turkey Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Manny Jimenez. Fellas, good to see you again. Go ahead and say hello to the group, to everyone out there.
Good evening. It's I, your champ, everybody's cup of coffee, Cody, here with also, go ahead, Tim.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
We just got done watching a football game. I feel like a Ron Burgundy. Am I Ron Burgundy? I don't know. I think it was a football game.
I feel like you could say that about all the Thursday games so far, except for maybe that first one.
Yeah, that first one was good.
Close. At least it was close, Yeah.
They had a chance at the end.
Last year, the Cowboys beat the Giants 40-0, I believe. I don't remember if that was a Thursday night game or not.
Was that opening Sunday night? That might have been opening Sunday night.
It was early in the year.
Yeah.
So, a much closer game this time around.
Yeah. Didn't Trayvon Diggs have 3 or 4 picks in that game? Something crazy. Like he was just a madman on Daniel Jones, and it was raving about the Dallas defense. And
the Dallas defense manhandled them. I don't remember all the details, but it was one of those 30-point fantasy performances for Dallas's defense in that game.
One of the many for Hobby last year. He had a few of those.
Yeah.
But definitely was not that tonight. It was very tight game. A game you expected the Giants to run the ball, which we also didn't see a lot of, right? Because I saw the stat up there that the Giants or the Dallas in 3 games had given up 464 rushing yards in 3 games, and in this game, only less than 30 yards they gave up to Singletary. So, very interesting.
Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara are a little bit better than Singletary. So, but yeah,
and their offensive teams are a little bit better and stronger as well.
Yeah. It wasn't like the Giants were very successful running it when they tried, but they didn't really seem to stick with it at all either. So, who knows if they could have broken some longer ones to bring that average up. But
they've been running the ball pretty well in the first couple games of the season, but this game they really abandoned it quick. And you're right. That's the talent level doesn't equate to the performances we've seen before. But the game was close enough still where you could have handed the ball. How many throws did Daniel Jones have tonight? He was 30 plus passes, right?
40.
29
for 40. A lot of those short, but 29 for 40.
A whole lot short.
Yeah.
How many underthrows were there? I want to know that stat.
40, actually.
At least
40.
That's a good answer. But
even if they were caught, a lot of those receivers had to backtrack to the ball.
Anything more than 10 yards down the field seemed like it was underthrown. So
unfortunately,
Slayton, who knows? He might have dropped him anyway because he's prone to drops, but he had a couple where he got open deep and just wasn't even that deep. But still got underthrown and had no chance. So
even that one neighbor's long pass that he had, the 39-yarder, I think the ball went 25 yards, and then he had to wait, catch it, turn, and by then the defense was already catching up to him.
Yeah, and he was so incredibly wide open too that a better throw might have been a touchdown. But
exactly.
Oh well. So I'll take it because I was up against him. So.
Okay. So, are you content with where your matchup is right now? Seeing as how things have gone for you in the past with this Thursday night game.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it's still better. It's better than I thought. I really did expect Neighbors to have
20-point game.
25 plus. So, he got a ton of targets again. Had a lot of catches, but luckily didn't catch any. Didn't have a touchdown. So, I'll take it.
There you go.
Was he 15 receptions for 115 yards, something crazy like that?
12 catches, I think.
12 catches. So, okay, so got targeted at least 15 times.
Still a monster game for a rookie. So
and for a Thursday night as well.
Yeah, he's far and away the best player on that team. And 4 games into the season, it's without a doubt. Feel horrible way it ended for him the night. He took that pass along the left sideline. We were just talking about it, Cody, where he dove and he tried to keep his feet in bounds. It was awesome, but that head went straight into the ground, and it looked like he got knocked out cold instantly as soon as he hit the ground. And it looks like he's in concussion protocol now. And Tim, you had said it. His face mask looked like it got pushed up against his face, and could have knocked his beautiful braces off. So, rough sledding for him. I mean, that's the thing. You can target this guy 20 times. Think about how many hits that he's going to take. I don't think he's taking this many hits even in college. I mean, for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, but what else?
Yeah, in college, he also, don't forget, had Jaden Daniels thrown to him, so he's used to receiving better balls. That's for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he definitely looks great though. They're easily their best receiver since young OBJ. So.
Oh yeah. Easily. Yeah, but
OBJ,
I mean, they have 10
OBJ
days,
or Victor
so
Cruz?
he'll probably. Oh, OBJ, come on.
OBJ over Victor Cruz?
Yeah, he would just catch a slant 5 to 7 yards downfield and just split the defense and score an 80-yard touchdown.
But Victor Cruz is so consistent, though.
He was.
I would still take OBJ.
How many good
sure.
years did he have, though? I mean, he had maybe
he had two or
three,
four.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, OBJ kind of got the injury bug a little bit, but when he was even his rookie year, I think he played 12 games and he still had 1,400 yards and I don't know how many touchdowns. I mean, it was
most of those. Most of those in the second half of the year. Fun fact: that helped me win my very first Turkey Bowl title, OBJ, when I was running the team for Ricky while he was in the Air Force. Thank you for your service, Ricky. Yeah,
I had him on a championship roster that year too, I believe, in another league I'm in.
Nice.
So, great minds
think alike. Exactly. I'll always remember that OBJ season.
Oh yeah, that was
that was a single arm catch that year or the next year where he did the post catch.
That was his first game, I think, that he actually, because he was injured to start the year, and I think that might have been the first game he played in, or it was one of the first games.
It was a Sunday night game for sure. I remember that. But I don't know how
against the Cowboys. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, it was. So. Seen it many times since. Yeah, against the Cowboys.
And that's why I go with OBJ over Victor Cruz as well. Not that Victor Cruz is bad, but just he was more of a possession.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. But Neighbors is definitely a special talent. Dude catches everything that goes his way. I mean, look at even Wan'Dale Robinson tonight had so many balls thrown his way as well. I think he had 11 receptions or 12, close to that as well. But he had 2 or 3 that were right. The breadbasket you should have. Those go to Neighbors. Neighbors is going to catch it. So that's kind of the difference there. But very tight game. Not great game on the Dallas side. Dak had a pretty good game, right? CD made him look a lot better tonight.
He usually does.
Yeah. Ferguson had 7 receptions for almost 50 yards, 49 yards, I think. So decent game there. They're using Dak CD. They're using CD in very different ways. Throw him in the backfield, put him in slot. So they're getting him and finding him in space. Again, just kind of like on the flip side, he's by far and away their best player on Dallas.
They were even handing the ball off to him in the backfield too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, with their running back situation, you can't blame them. But
trying to make him Debo, he's not
doesn't
quite
have
Debo.
the same build. No,
he's good run after the catch, but I don't know that he's a good, to hand off in the backfield. But I can't blame him for trying. So
that touchdown catch he had was outstanding, right? That's the perfect place you want CD to catch that ball. 12 yards down the field, coming across. Once he's inside the safety, then he can burn it off to the outside. So it's a perfect play for him to open it up on that. Yeah, running out of the backfield makes me a little nervous. Let the bigger guys do that. Don't let Zeke do it because we've seen Zeke just can't get outside at all anymore. I mean, he just doesn't have the juice. Rico Dowdle surprisingly got that 15-yard catch touchdown, and they actually used him a little bit more in the rush game. I guess he's the clear number 1. I don't know. It's not.
He looks better when he's running the ball than Zeke to me, but
still make him the clear. Yeah,
not phenomenal, but just there's a difference for sure. So, but they don't have much of a running game at all. Imagine if they had signed Derrick Henry, who they couldn't afford apparently.
Can't afford him.
You got to when you're gonna break the bank on players, you got to make sure they're players that you
can make a difference.
That make a difference. And obviously, Dak could have been under contract still this year. He probably would have played, and it might turn out to be a horrible decision on Jerry Jones's end. So very, very unique. We were reading that story earlier this week and kind of laughing about it. Like, what do you mean you couldn't afford them? You paid all these dudes in this offseason, and you went out and didn't do that. You paid Zeke right? So
to bring him back.
Not as much, not nearly as much as what Derrick Henry's making, but yeah. But they could have. You would think they could have figured out a way to bring in Derrick Henry, maybe hold off on signing Dak, see if bringing in a guy like Henry brings them further into the playoffs, and then maybe make the decision on Dak next year. But whatever. I mean, that's. I have a friend who's a Cowboys fan, and he thinks they're idiots. So yeah, he's in his defense. He is from Texas. He was born in Texas. He went to Texas University, so he's not one of these, California Cowboys fans.
California, New York Cowboy fans.
Cowboys fans for whatever reason, but yeah. So
I always crack up when I see the amount of Cowboys fans in New York when the Giants, when they're over there playing in the Meadowlands. I'm like, how is there that many Cowboys fans there? It's crazy to me. Crazy.
Yeah.
They're everywhere somehow.
Yeah.
But Dallas got away with the game. As far as the teams go in general, both teams don't give me the good fuzzies. I mean, I don't see either of these teams doing well. I mean, they're both scraping by right now. Dallas is back to 500. Giants are 1-3. They just don't look good. Do you guys see them being potential playoff teams? I just don't see it at all from either team.
With the division, I could see Dallas, as they beat New York. I could see them beating up on, the Commanders as well, even though they looked a lot better on Monday night. So I could see them getting a couple of cheap wins here, maybe beating a couple other teams in the NFC and getting a wild card spot. I think that division belongs to the Eagles, but I could see the Cowboys, fighting for that last wild card spot with maybe the Cardinals or something.
Yeah, it's tough to say that. I mean, it's definitely a tougher division this year than it was last year, just because the Commanders look competent at least.
Yep.
So
on the offensive side of the ball, the Commanders do look much better than they have in the past.
Yeah. So it won't be as easy of a win for Dallas, especially since their defense is not looking great.
And they lost a couple guys in this game. Yeah,
Marcus Lawrence, I don't know. He got hurt. He was on the sideline, but never came back in the game. Don't know what happened to Parsons.
Yep. He got rolled up on.
He was playing that middle linebacker position, and he went for a blitz, and then the offensive line guard just kind of fell on the back of his ankle, and he went down. So that was kind of a bummer.
Well, I mean, I don't know how serious it is. Like if those guys miss time on an already suspect defense, I don't know.
And those are both defensive line guys. That run defense is going to get shredded coming up soon.
Yeah.
And Diggs was in and out of the lineup. He was, with that calf issue.
Yeah, I was surprised he came back in after he went to the locker room. That looked like he was going to be done for the game. So, but yeah, it was a rough game for Dallas. But I mean, I think there were some injuries for New York too. Obviously, neighbors. So, kind of a rough game. Not like with you, not impressed really by either team. Dallas could still, the division still seems like it's kind of up in the air. I think the Eagles will win it, but they're also kind of up and down. So it's hard to say, but doesn't look like they're going to go any deeper into the playoffs this year than they did last year. That's for sure, if they do make it. So.
Very, very true. Hey, score update, Cody. Dodgers tied the game.
Oh, let's go. Okay. 2-2?
It's 2-2, bottom 7. We are on Dodger watch here, folks.
Yes,
Cody and I are big Dodger fans, and
here we go.
Hopefully closing out this division tonight because we're sick of these Padres being so close.
The sooner the better.
That's right. Yeah, but Cody, what was your take on these two teams? Same as Tim and I, or?
I would say similar to Tim. I could see the Cowboys, like I mentioned before, just being like one of those fringe playoff teams. If they get a couple, coin flip games that they stack a couple wins, I could see them, making the playoffs and then in Cowboy fashion losing in the first round and not really doing much in January. The Giants are probably going to have another top 10 pick. Hopefully they use it on a quarterback. I understand them taking Neighbors where they did. He looks wonderful out there. Now let's get him a guy that can actually get him the ball and maybe spread it around a little bit more. That's probably the best thing for the Giants right now is to end up losing quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ugly. It's ugly looking football right now. Daniel Jones just isn't it, right? We've seen too many years of this same nonsense, and I still never understand the deal that he got.
Same here. Yeah. And then, keeping him essentially forced them to have to pass on Saquon is the deal they gave Daniel Jones. So And now look what he's doing behind a competent offensive line in Philadelphia.
He's getting paid more millions of dollars per year than yards he can throw the football, basically. I mean,
wow.
Like that, one of his passes that he underthrew, the second one that he underthrew to Slayton was only, I rewatched it. It was like 40 yards and he underthrew it. So, and he's making 40 million a year. So I think you should be able to at least, if you're going to get paid 60 million a year, like some of the top quarterbacks do, they can probably throw it 60 yards at least.
60 plus, yeah.
So
I love that barometer level. That's a great barometer, Tim, right there. Yeah. If you're going to get 50 million a year, you better be able to throw a 50-yard ball. I love that. That's great.
It's like last year with Russell Wilson. They had that what was it? It was like the number of touchdowns he threw compared to the number of bathrooms in his house or something like that. Do you remember that? People
I did not see that one.
I did not see that. Yeah, that was pretty funny. It took him a while to
surpass,
to have more touchdown passes than bathrooms.
Wow, that was a Denver special right there, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Denver faithful were watching that real closely.
I bet Romo was, that's for sure.
Oh man. So well, let's move on past that game. Lot to talk about, right? We are recording later in the week, had some scheduling conflicts, but here we are. We're gonna kind of make today's show a little bit different. We want to definitely talk about the standings on how they look, right? We're going into week 4. There are some unique things happening in the league as far as teams that are undefeated, teams that are still looking for their first win.
Yeah, so, can we skip the standings, or I mean,
no, we got to get through the standings.
I know where I'm at, so all right.
All right, but going from top to bottom, let's give the leaders their due. Right, Carlos sitting at the top of the leaderboard at 3-0, and his points for being definitely the most points for on the season at 311. So Carlos, kudos to you.
He's won his last 2 games with no Walker, and he didn't have a Charbonnet handcuff, and he still won both those games.
Yep. He did play Andrew, right? So he had already had a bye week.
That helps. There you go.
He had the bye week already, so that's nice. But to start. Typically, when you start the season 3-0, you have a outstanding chance to make the playoffs, right? You put yourself in great position. ESPN already has him making the playoffs at 97%, so good for him. Right? Yeah, he's in a great spot. But our other 3-0, a couple 3-0 teams, followed by Javi being, Cody's man crush team. Javi sitting at 3-0. Javi having very great output as Saquon Barkley's pretty much carrying his team on his back and carrying him to victory every week. So Javi's team's looking solid, and then Cody sitting there at 3-0, right?
There we go. Yeah,
there you go.
Feeling good about the team this year too, and I still, as we talked about in the last podcast, have Brooks coming back. Hopefully it looks like week 5, maybe even 5 or 6, he might be splitting time and then take over the backfield there in Carolina, who looks competent.
Luckily they made the quarterback change. So he's not going to be coming into a dumpster fire offense.
Nope, made me feel a lot better about that pick.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I've been meaning to ask if you were starting to doubt that, keeping him on IR, but it's a lot easier decision now with QB change. So
with the red rocket back there.
Yeah.
So you do have Chuba and Jonathan Brooks, right?
I do.
And Chuba's actually been very good, especially these last 2 weeks. He's been pretty great, especially now with Andy Dalton back in under center. He looked great last week. Very, very competent, and I don't see the handoff to go into Jordan Brooks right away if Chuba keeps playing this way. You see that, or be seeing more of a time split, and how are you going to manage that?
I think it'll be from a lot of things I've read and heard. I'm not a huge college guy, but he would have been the number 1 running back prospect had he not torn his ACL last year in November. So I think there will still be some time where he is splitting time, maybe about 3 weeks splitting time with Chuba. And then probably by week 8, week 9, if he does come back in week 5, then he'll take the bulk of those snaps, probably 70-30. It's not going to be a bell cow thing how many bell cow backs do we even still have outside of maybe 5 or 6 guys? So he'll still get the bulk of the carries, I think, and surpass Chuba and make it maybe a 70-30 split, maybe starting around week 8. That would be my guess from things I've kind of researched and read. I don't know. Do you guys see it taking longer than that, or do you see it staying as a 50-50 split for the rest of the year? What do you guys think is going to happen there?
5-2 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Let's go.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
So, well, I think I mentioned last week. So I watch a good amount of college football, and my buddy's a Texas football fan, so I watched a lot of Texas games, and I told him I thought Jonathan Brooks looked like Jamal Charles. So
that's what I'm hoping for.
I think he was still might have been the first running back drafted anyway. It just wasn't. I don't remember if any were drafted in the first round. I think he was a second
No one
round
in the
pick.
first round. I thought Brooks was a third rounder. I think someone else was too, but I could be wrong about that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough to say. Like I remember Todd Gurley's first season in the league. He was hurt, I think, to start the year as well. I think it was a similar thing where he was on IR and he kind of came on slowly, but then towards the end of the year, he started to look a lot better. Although it was the Jeff Fisher Rams, so it still wasn't that great. But yeah, so it's tough to say. But they did play the Raiders, so Chuba Hubbard looking good against the Raiders is. He does have his occasional good games, but I don't know. I can't imagine them holding on.
Do you think the QB change was that much of a positive for the Panthers, or was it just them playing the Raiders? That's a good way to phrase it.
I think. I mean, I still, if Bryce Young had played the game, I think they still would have looked terrible and lost.
Okay.
I just don't think Bryce Young is good, but or he's
I'm
just not in the
there.
right situation. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a combination of both. QB change probably lit a fire under the offense a little bit, and then playing the Raiders too. Especially the Raiders just got a huge win against the Ravens, so they kind of laid an egg, I think. But
at home, it wasn't even on the road. So I have a unique perspective on this, is where I still don't know if Carolina's a good team. I think they're coming off adrenaline. Quarterback change does that typically. They came out with the fire. The team was amped up to play. They looked great. Is Carolina a good team? We don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So let's say by the time Brooks gets back in there, what if they're 1-6? Is it worth them risking him to put him out there as a full-time back? I don't know. Right? That would already be a lost season. So I could see it being more of a time split. Right? They still got to give him carry. They still got to give him run. But if you already know your season's in the drain and you're playing for next season, I don't know if they're going to, he's their back of the future, right? That's why they drafted him. So
you would think so, but you still want to see what you have in him, see if he is a viable option, see what he can do in games and give him some carries and see, one, if he can hold up, or is this injury thing going to be something that keeps happening? And then two, is this a guy you can believe in, or are you going to maybe have to take another running back in the third or fourth round if you get him out there? And now if he doesn't recover well from that ACL and he's not looking great, then maybe you do need to draft another running back. So I think you do need an answer there as well.
Yeah, I would expect it to be closer to 50-50. I don't see him just completely taking over, but if he's anything, if he's back to his normal self, he's a home run threat. Like Chuba Hubbard just isn't. So,
I don't know if he ever really was.
He's not, he's not Achan, but he's still he's a fast guy, and he's definitely more talented than Hubbard. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean Chuba, 21 carries the last game for 114 and 5 receptions. So he just looked outstanding. And if that production continues and they're a subpar team or a middling tier team, I just don't see the full conversion over, right? And allow Brooks to get fully healthy, right? That's the reason they started the season on IR. They don't even trust his knee yet, right? And he might not trust it. So we'll see how that goes down.
Yeah.
But, as far as
I think it's been less than a year since he hurt his knee. I forget when
it was. I think mid-November. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm curious to see how he looks. Though I certainly hope he doesn't get injured again or anything, and that he's ready, fully healthy when they do put him in there.
You can see Jamal Charles 2.0 out there in Carolina.
Maybe. I could be wrong.
Heard it from Tim first.
I kind of hope not, because he's on your team, but
yeah, understandable.
But yeah, let's talk about the 2-1 teams, right? So that's the top. We got our top cut of the 3-0 teams there, and then our next tier 2-1. Yep. Ricky and Edgar. So
only two 2-1 teams. Okay.
Only two 2-1 teams, right? And that's kind of unique breakdown early in the season like that.
Yeah.
Ricky's 2-1. I definitely believe, as Ricky's got a decent points for at 249. He has played a couple soft game. His points again isn't that as at 241. So he's middle there, but he's made a lot of moves so far up into the season. He's got 10 different acquisitions, but he's done a good job, right? He's a Neighbors manager, so he's done a good job drafting there, and his team's doing well enough to win. I think if Ricky can get 4 to 5 wins by week 6 or 7, he'll probably be on his way to the playoffs, right? So that'll be there. Now, a 2-1 team I'm not convinced is going to be there is Edgar's team, right? We saw Edgar go up against you, Cody, this week. We talked about how
2-0 matchup.
We talked about how he beat me barely. My number 1 draft pick having the issues with not having the quarterback now, Tyreek Hill, but he did end up getting me by a couple points. And actually, ESPN had adjusted the score. It was 47-41 or 97-94. He had beat me by 3. He actually only beat me by 1, 95-94. When you went back,
there was an adjustment.
There was an adjustment.
Some commissioner shenanigans. Okay.
Not by me, but ESPN. So I was really surprised by it. I was like, I almost actually had him. So all I need was one more point for Tyreek Hill, and I would have got him. But that's all right. But you went up against him last week, Cody, and it was, again, felt like slim pickings for you, very easy. So
yeah,
I think Edgar's
never really worried.
Never really worried. There's a lot that can happen there that I'm just not sold on in his roster that's going to really, bode out well. And Bijan actually just popped up on the injury list. So I don't know. We'll see how his team looks, but he does have Deontay Johnson, who's also questionable, and Sam Laporta, right? He drafted very high on Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta hasn't been Sam Laporta of last year. So we'll see how his team goes.
Yeah, he still has a solid running back core, but his receivers, are just kind of putting up duds for him week after week. And Stroud has not been the guy that he drafted him to be. And then same with Stroud and Laporta, kind of in that same boat. Drafted them fairly high, and they just haven't lived up to the projections and expectations I'm sure he had for him, and maybe even we as well had for him.
He did get a boost for Deontay Johnson, though, with the quarterback change that we talked about. So that may help him a little bit. But yeah, the receivers are the biggest question mark for sure. So if Deontay Johnson's a little bit more consistent, and if his running backs put up points, then he could still definitely win some games. But yeah, definitely he's in the same boat. He drafted Laporta. I got Mark Andrews. I don't know which is worse. they're both garbage. So but
not a great start for either one.
Yeah. So, but I think Laporta's got a sprained ankle, so I don't know if he's going to play this week or not.
Yeah, so, I don't think it's a high ankle sprain, but
I think it's a regular sprain. Yeah, but
one of the low variety. But looking at these two, it sounds like we're kind of on, in consensus out of these 2-1 teams. Is there one you expect to drop off? Looking at Ricky's team, I kind of do like his receivers. I think he has Justin Jefferson, who's, I believe, the number 1 scorer in our league. And then Neighbors prior to tonight was number 4, number 5. So he has 2 top 5 receivers on his team. He's shuffling through quarterbacks. That seems to be the toughest part of his team that he's working with. But Kyren doing Kyren things, scoring touchdowns, getting 100% of the carries for the Rams. That volume play that he took in the first round is really helping him out. Do you see both these teams making the playoffs? They are 2-1, or do you see one dropping off? Do you see them both dropping off?
I'm more confident in Ricky's team, but I'll explain why. Go ahead, Tim. Why do you?
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Just because he took some chances on some players that there's uncertainty. His first 2 picks, Kyren and Justin Jefferson, people thought Kyren Williams was possibly, going to be in the timeshare. It's not looking that way so far. And then Justin Jefferson with the quarterback situation.
Who he just picked up, by the way.
Yeah.
Now he's got the stack attack. He's following Manny's draft strategy.
Stack attack. So he finally went for Sam Darnold. We told him last week, go with Sam Darnold, and he's finally doing it. So, all right.
Yeah.
Good job.
So yeah, so far, as long as neighbors might miss a game with a concussion, we'll see. But
he's got 10 days, I think. The extra playing Thursday that'll help. Yeah.
So yeah, and he's got Brandon Ayuk, who had a slow start, but I think he'll come around. He's
eventually.
He he missed most of training camp, I think. So he's just
all of it.
kind of
yeah.
So I think he'll be fine too. So he's definitely got good receivers and good running backs. So yeah.
And if Kelsey ever wakes up and gets the ball thrown to him,
that'll be
maybe he's just playing his way into shape.
The Chargers are just what he needs.
Oh yeah,
they're the medicine that ails Kelsey. That's what you're saying, Tim.
I don't know if you realize how dominant he averages. 120. The last 7 games, they're 6-1. He's averaged 120 yards a game. I think 121.
Wow.
I forget the number of catches, like 8 catches a game, like a touchdown a game. It's just.
Yeah, I was not aware.
Staggering numbers.
It's brutal.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why.
And don't forget,
also,
so Ricky has going for him. He gets to play Tim this week. So there we go. High score of the week. Congrats, Ricky.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Hey, neighbors didn't put up the 20 spot that we, potentially could have seen tonight. So that was, Tim's starting a little bit in the plus side there, right? Thursday Night Football didn't ruin his week already. So
good. He hasn't had a 30-point score yet. But it's not me if I'm not playing a 30-point scoring fantasy player. So.
Well, if you're calling Kelsey against the Chargers,
there it is. Yeah, that's the breakout game. Oh, 2 daggers to Tim's heart, fantasy and reality.
They're so banged up. I don't expect them to win anyway. I hope they don't play Herbert. I hope they just.
I was looking forward to that matchup to see how real the Chargers were.
I know, and then Herbert's got a high ankle sprain that he aggravated, and now it sounds like he might
shouldn't
play
have
again.
played last week. Why would they put him against?
Take the loss. Your tackles are out. He's going to get killed. Just accept defeat and move on to the next game.
Especially when against the Steelers. Again, such a good defense. Why would you put him at risk? That was very strange.
I was not surprised at all that he got.
Yeah, but the drop off from him to the backup is so great. If he wants to play and wants to be out there, I can see putting him out there.
So who are the backups? Ethan Stick, and then
Ethan Stick.
Taylor Heineke.
He's a third stringer.
And Taylor Heineke. Yeah,
Heineke is at least like if they still had Easton Stick as his primary backup, then I would agree 100%. But Heineke has at least shown he can play, competently. So
in spurts.
So it's definitely a drop off, but it's not worth risking, the re-injury. So I don't know. But, oh well.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a little more faith in Ricky's team than Edgar's team.
Yeah, and the tight end situation Cody talked about with and Tim Andrews, Laporta's been bad. Kelsey's been bad. Kelsey's been bad. They've all been terrible. So the top 3 tight ends that win in our league have been just abysmal. They've been really out of the top 10. So I expect things to change, right? Dallas Goedert's the number 1 tight end in fantasy and in football.
He had one good game, but it was a great game.
It was a great game. So that just goes to show you how pathetic the tight end position has been this season. I mean, we thought this was the year we're finally going to have 7-8 great tight ends, and we're back to square one.
Yeah.
And Goddard was having a good game. Goddard was having a good game, to begin with, but then I think he got a ton of yards after Devontae Smith got hurt too. So he was kind of the only one left. But
that was part of it. And there was broken coverage. I think the Saints didn't cover him on one of those last plays in the fourth quarter, and he was able to just run for 30 or 40 yards before he finally got tackled at the 5.
Yeah, I think that was his highest yardage total ever, his career game. I
wouldn't be surprised,
Yeah, he's had a few over 100, I think I saw, but that was easily his highest yardage. So and he was on my opponent's team, so that was great.
Indeed, he was. I wasn't going to say anything, but you seem to remember.
I remember.
They only show up against him. That's what happens. All right, so let's talk about this next group, right? This is the group that's 1 and 2 that, some people are going to be hitting the panic button on. Some people
huge chunk right here of teams.
Yeah, this is the bulk of the league right here. We got 5 members that are
almost half the league.
Almost half the league. So myself sitting in the 6th spot, followed by Romo, Rob, Alex, and Angel, all sitting at 1 and 2, all with respectable score, points for. Out of that group, the least points for is Alex and Angel.
Yeah.
Right? But Romo at 270, I'm at 271. Rob's at 249. So it does tear down in that way. So you'll see some definite drop off as you get lower down that list. Out of those bulk of those teams, right? So we talk about the top eight that get into the playoffs and who move forward. Out of this group here, who are the two that can't sustain getting some wins in this middle part of the season?
Ooh, I was not expecting you to ask that. I'm going to go with Alex teams for sure. Alex team is one team that I see dropping off and missing the playoffs. I'm gonna nominate Alex for one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with
that was going to be my first, just because of losing Pacheco with DeAndre Swift has not been good.
And how much longer is AJ Brown going to be out with that hamstring?
Yeah, I mean, if AJ Brown doesn't miss too much time, then him with Hurts, that pairing could help him get some wins, but it's just not looking great for the most part. He just lost Eckler too for I'm not sure how long. I think Eckler has a concussion.
He looked great too in the last game. He was looking awesome in kick returns and getting in the holes. He was looking excellent.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. Didn't look
and
like he did last year.
Waddle was his second drafted receiver. Waddle lost Tua, so that's another player that he took as his second receiver that he can't now really start. It's on his bench right now.
Yep, huge downgrade with Tua being gone, just like I'm dealing with the Tyreek. Yep. So
yeah. So So Alex is the first team I nominate. Yeah. The injury bug plus the
if you look at the positions he's got right now, so at the flex he's got Jacoby Myers, and at his wide receiver 1 he's got Darnell Mooney, and wide receiver 2 Alan Lazard.
Yeah. All essentially second and third receivers on their teams.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
he's just kind of chasing touchdowns there, which is not something you want to do.
No.
And as his tight end, he's got Pitts, which is he ever going to be good again? I mean, no one seems to know.
He's such an anomaly. I mean, he's so talented.
We've all taken the ride on the Pitts train.
Yeah, I was not going to take it this year. He came in with his Michael Vick, jersey at the draft, and I'm like, this guy's serious. And then he drafted Pitts. I was like, oh, I get it. All right.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Huge Falcons guy.
So I think we're all in agreement there that Alex is the team that's really going to struggle to put together wins to stay in that out of that bottom 4 tier.
So there's one. Who's the other one? You guys got a nomination?
I mean, I hate to say it. I'm gonna go Rob though. Because just because Anthony Richardson, I don't think that's gonna quite work out.
So let's talk about Rob's waiver wire decision last week, right? I think this is a key element to this. Right, as
Manny predicted,
the prediction that went great, but then we had a lot of chatter about it on our chat room. But so Rob ended up spending big time on Derek Carr. I didn't expect him to go that much. When we saw waivers run on Tuesday or Wednesday, we all were surprised. I said Rob would target him. I just didn't know he would spend $50 on him.
Yeah,
or 51 was the final number.
51 on a new car.
51 on a new car. Yeah. So Rob could have bought a real new car, which he desperately needs in life with that same money. But
and I still think, Derek Carr will probably still have some good games. But if he doesn't hit the 50-yard pass to Shaheed, then it's just it's an average game. It's 10
or a screen to Kamara where he takes it 70 yards.
Yeah. So that's kind of how he's gotten a lot of his points so far in those early games. So, but it's more just to do with his running back situation. Like, we still don't know what's up with McCaffrey.
Okay.
But
that's okay.
Like Kyle Shanahan's saying that they might get him involved soon. I don't know. I mean,
he went to Germany for some treatment.
Yeah, they're not being straightforward with him at all. So
he's in Europe.
But if hypothetically, if McCaffrey does not miss that much more time, then Mason is possibly,
downgraded immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't say worthless, but he's definitely riding him, and then he's kind of relying on Chubb coming back 100%, which we'll see because Jerome Ford hasn't been that great. he's definitely got good receivers. So
yes.
I mean, he could probably
took him with his first 4 picks. So
right. So I mean, he might have to flip one of those for a running back at some point. But yeah, it's just the uncertainty with what's going on. I mean, if Mason is the starter for the whole year, then I would feel a lot better about his team and his chances. But
Kincaid has not been good. I think last game, Dawson Knox even ran more routes than Kincaid, so that's kind of troubling.
Kincaid got that late touchdown, right? I mean,
everyone was scoring for them, though.
Josh Allen was balling out. Yeah, they won the game in the first half. I mean,
they were dancing on the field at, what was that, the third quarter, in between the third and fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Did they have 37 points in the first half? Or it was 30, it was at least 30.
33 in the first half. And then,
so
then
it was
the 40 spot.
I think Josh Allen had almost 30 points in the first half. I think he had I
think it was 4 touchdowns and
so
4 touchdowns and 200 plus yards, I believe.
Yeah,
the first half alone,
might have been close to 250 passing yards in the first half. He hit the over on his passing yards probably with half the game left, just about. So that was not competitive even at all. So
okay, see, I was gonna nominate Romo's team because looking at Rob's team, his receivers he does have locked up. The Mason thing with this McCaffrey being in Europe, getting treatment in Germany, it's Achilles, it's calf, it's Achilles, it's calf. You don't know. Mason, could have the job at least through week 10, which could get him some wins. And then if Chubb comes back in week 7, 8, like you said, Ford's not doing anything. They're going to give him the role. We've seen him videos of him squatting 500, 600 pounds recently. If he can cut and feels good, he gets those 2 running backs in along with his receivers that we were making fun of him for, who, are solid receivers. He could potentially stay out of the playoffs and kind of be Ricky from last year, where slow start and then comes back and makes a run on the back end. I was going to kind of look at Romo's team and nominate Romo. He's got Rachaad White, who's losing time to Bucky Irving. Etienne's now splitting a lot more time with Tank Bisbee, which he wasn't predicting at the beginning part. Kyler's been Kyler. He's got to be happy with Kyler. Jawan Jennings, he had to pick up and play, and it looks like he's in his starting slot again. I don't know if he'll be able to reclaim that same magic against the Patriots that he had against the Rams, D-back. So I don't feel as good about Romo's team as maybe Rob's team. The running back situation is a key part of Rob's team, though. You guys are right.
Jawan's like a 1 more week starter, and then
depending on Debo. Debo and
back.
Kittle, too.
Yep, Kittle come back. And then Ayuk finally coming to farm, right? As we're
there you go.
What happened. So
but he does have Cup. He's got Cooper Cup, on IR.
Does.
Who sounds like he'll only miss probably the 4 weeks. We'll see.
I think they haven't actually officially put him on IR. They're just ruling him out week to week.
Oh, that's right.
You're
right. They didn't.
So hopefully that does, like you say, mean he comes back sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I can see it. It's not. I can't disagree really with any of that. So
I think Manny was about to point out Cooper, who's got Watson thrown to him.
Yeah, I mean Cooper. He's someone he leans on, and he finally had a good game. But Watson is almost as bad as Daniel Jones, right? I mean, we just don't see it. He's going to get the volume, but how quality are those going to be? Those passes? I mean, he even Tim, you posted a link this week from Deshaun Watson admitting that he's not a running back, he's a quarterback, right? And well, are you a quarterback? Because your accuracy doesn't say so. So,
it seems like he's overdue to be benched, but especially with that kind of attitude too.
But with that contract, that that's going to keep him from getting benched, probably. That alone.
Yeah, it might, but that sucks for Browns fans. But
hugely, yeah,
yeah. But I just think that's a when you're getting paid that much and you're clearly not playing well, to come out and say I'm not a running back, I don't want to run the ball. Like, you should do whatever the hell they ask you to. Like, if they want to call design runs for you, you should do it, because what you're doing now is not working. You just lost to the Giants. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and out of those two, Rob and Romo, I'm probably inclined to agree with you, Cody, that Romo is the one that would have some slippage there for sure. Especially because Rachaad White, I definitely see Bucky Irvin we've seen over these last 2 weeks, Bucky Irving get more snaps, more percentage of the carries. He's just as capable as a pass catcher as Rachaad White is. We know Rachaad White's super inefficient as a runner.
Yeah.
He's under 2 yards a carry. It's awful.
Brutal.
Super inefficient. So Bucky Irving just looks like he has more juice when he gets the ball in the backfield. I don't know how much longer Todd Bowles is going to allow Rachaad White to be that inefficient, right? You're going to have to eventually say, we can't take this anymore. Because as long as Baker has a running game, he's going to fling the ball out. If there's no running game, defense is going to key in on Baker and be like, yeah, we know they can't run the ball, so we only got to keep Baker in the pocket, guard Evans downfield a little bit. Godwin's been great underneath, but it takes away that deep presence with Evans, so, and they need that. They need that play action to work. So,
yeah, and last year a lot of the Rachaad White, fantasy value came from just the volume he got. He was the one and only guy they really used time after time, so he got a lot of those 2 to 3 yard touchdowns at the goal line. This year, they now have another option who's outperforming him, and so it doesn't look good moving forward, I don't think, for him.
Yeah. He could still be the goal line back, but he's not. He shouldn't be getting the volume anymore because Irving's not going to be a bell cow. He's kind of small. He's like a little bit bigger than Darren Sproles, but definitely looks much better running the ball. So, without getting 90% of the backfield work, White's not going to put up nearly the points he had last year.
No. So. Plus, Mike Evans on the fade route could be the goal line back. Just have Baker throw it up there. I mean, who can compete with that? We've seen it time and time again with Brady. Yeah, doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Romo keeps rolling out the Cowboys defense out there, right? Like even after all these weeks, I'm like,
you have to, right?
I wouldn't. I mean, there's a lot of better options out. All right. He has Raiders defense on the bench. Raiders against Cleveland. Cowboys against the Giants. I would have started the Raiders.
Cowboys against the Giants. After what we saw them do to them the past 3 years, it seems like the Cowboys, like Tim was saying last year, puts up 30 points whenever they happen to play the Giants on prime time.
But they've given up 30 points in the last 2 games. They've given up 500 yards on rushing.
Yeah.
In the last 3 games.
I mean, they did hold Singletary to 25, but
they got him 6 points.
The Giants didn't score a touchdown. Yeah. It was just all
the
field
Giants
goals.
Didn't score a touchdown.
So they did, they didn't do well fantasy wise, but they did their job maybe in reality.
Yeah. This is what I was talking about before the draft. Why I don't take a defense till the last 2 picks, because I looked at the draft recap and the first 3 defenses that were taken, I think like in the 9th round, are in the 20s as far as ranking so far. So. And so far the Vikings look like they might be the best defense in the league, and they weren't drafted because that's just how it usually goes. Like, there's a defense that kind of comes out of nowhere, although maybe should have been expected since they got Brian Flores. But yeah, so it's just that's why I just kind of take the wait and see approach to defenses. But they still got him 6 points, so it's not it's not great. It's not like last year, but
it's probably not what he would have expected. Yeah.
But I mean, out there on the waiver wire, you got the Chiefs going up against Chargers, a backup QB, right? And we know again it's in LA, but it's the Chiefs. Yeah. But also another good matchup for a defense this week would have been the Titans against Miami going up against the 3rd string QB. So the Titans defense is very good too, right? So there's options out there. Like, if you're going to continue to make decisions where, you got to get a defense that's going to produce. Luckily, he got the 6, but if Giants score 1 touchdown, I mean, you're talking about a 2-point output, 2 to 3 points. So it's just rough out there. You got to make better decisions in that space, I believe, when it comes to it. So
yeah, Manny, you told me the Chiefs defense was available, and I was about to push back and say, "Oh no, Ricky has him." I double checked; he dropped them this morning. You're right.
Just dropped them today.
He dropped them today. Yeah, I'm a little bit like you said, backup QB. I'm finding this out now. So yeah, I'm surprised.
I brought that up in the chat last night. That that's they're going to help him get to 100 points with just a few other guys, and I don't know if that psyched him out or
maybe.
I was not even joking at all about that. Like if the Chargers backup quarterback
and both tackles
are out officially,
yeah,
it's not going to be a fun day. So
yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. He apparently picked up the Lions defense against Seattle, who I think has been looking a lot better on offense. So maybe he knows something that we don't.
They played each other last year, and it was a shootout. So
yeah,
but it's a different year, so we'll see. But
like we did with the Cowboys just now against the Giants, could flip and reverse the other way.
Yeah.
But. And the Chiefs defense, they did force turnovers, right? They forced picks, turnovers. They sacked the quarterback, especially when you go up against a backup QB. So I'm a little surprised Ricky dropped him, but yeah, there was options for Romo out there, and he could have, made a better move. So yeah, as Romo continues to make decisions like that, I won't trust his team to get through. You got to keep track of who gets dropped. All right, like whoever gets dropped, go out and look and see if that's going to help your team. Right, Ricky made a
there. You go,
decision.
Romo. Dig through the scraps, baby.
Dig through the scrap heap. That's right. Dig through the scrap heap.
Okay, so it looks like we have Alex and Romo as our two nominees of the 1 and 2 teams that kind of miss the playoffs or drop down.
Yeah, and now let's talk about the bottom 2 teams because this is a facade. Let's talk about this now. This
Andrew.
could be any,
go ahead. Yeah.
Any polar opposite of the 2 0-3 teams here, right? I mean, when you look at the points for output, so we have Tim at the 11th spot and Andrew in the 12th spot.
In fairness, Tim has had his first round pick play for him.
That's true.
Andrew is not.
That's true. But Tim does have the most points against him out of anybody else in the season.
And it's not even close. Look at who second place is.
Yeah, Tim points.
Yeah.
Average
at 345 against.
Close.
Yeah. 345 against
when
the
you
next
play the
closest
3
doesn't
highest
even
scoring
break
teams.
300. Yeah. It's I believe it's Angel at 296. No one else has broken 300 points against, and Tim is sitting there at 345.
And just so that people know, in our league, if you score 100 points, it's all 90% guaranteed a victory.
That's a really good day.
That's a really good day.
If you score 90 to 95, you're feeling good.
Right. So Tim's averaging people who are putting up 115 against him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that should tell you big time, right? So a very respectable point score of 287, which keeps him in the top echelon of the rest of the league. But yeah, just having bad luck against those teams. So again, that's where I talk about the facade. That's not going to be the case going forward.
I think I'm fourth in points. Fourth most
somewhere.
points.
I mean, even ESPN in their little AI playoff percentage, the playoff percentage knows it has Tim, who's 0-3, ranked higher than many of the 1 and 2 teams who are above him in the standings. So in terms of playoff percentage, so even ESPN kind of knows what they've done to him.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'd feel so much better once I have that first win. If I go 0-4, like.
Yeah, Ricky can really stick it to you. Ricky also did pick you to get last place, so he can really put the nail in your coffin here.
Yeah, and I mean, it still feels kind of like that would be lucky in a way because, I'm not sure if anyone in this league has ever started out 0-3 facing the 3 highest scoring teams back to back to back. So
I would doubt it unless it was you from 4 years ago, whatever that season you had was.
Yeah, and I don't even that was more dispersed, I think. But
it was more. It was like every other week that was happening to him. It wasn't in succession. So do I'm foreseeing Ricky getting the highest points to get you this week? I don't see that, and I don't see.
I'm going to call it. I do. Let's
call it out.
Let's see. Let's go 4 for 4. Come on, let's make history happen, Tim.
I mean. I pointed out some of his matchups, and it seems very doable.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I certainly hope my team performs, but it doesn't seem to matter. Like my only hope last week would have been if I had picked up Juwan Jennings, then I would have won easily. But I don't think anyone
said that.
Yeah, I expected him to get maybe 8 to 10 points, but what did he get?
38 and a touchdown.
38.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
huge output from Juwan Jennings, easily number 1 wide receiver on the week. So good for him. But the other team, right? So Tim, let's not, we're not going to put the pack button. We're not going to.
And just to be clear, it does sound like Tim blames Manny for the schedule change and update. It does sound like that. Manny did change the schedule around.
100% my fault.
I blame Ricky.
Oh,
Ricky's the one that pushes it every year. So.
Oh, that's true.
Because I think Ricky brought it up again, and then Manny did change the schedule.
Yeah,
and this is what the result is. So
and Ricky did pick you to get last. Wait a minute.
It feels like a conspiracy for sure.
It does. Yeah, you could put the pieces together there.
Yeah, I'm gonna hire a PI to get to the bottom of it.
There you go. I'll take on the case.
We'll get the I team on it and do it in deep investigation of this. That's a good call out there. So Ricky, it is your fault, right? You kept pushing me.
Allegedly.
I didn't want to change the schedule.
Allegedly.
I love playing Carlos first every year.
Oh.
So, but Tim, let's not hit the panic button. Team's performing great. Ricky started 0-4 last year. I made a trade with him. He makes the playoffs. I might make a trade with you this week. So,
okay.
Let's get you back in.
Tim might still be stuck on the ground floor, but at least he's not Andrew, who's stuck in the basement.
Oh man, Andrew's team. My goodness, that is rough stuff, right? And we always talk about this. The number one pick. When you have that number one pick, there's so much draft capital at stake there. We talked about this before. You got to take that handcuff early just to protect your asset, and he just didn't do it. And it's showing. He's got Lamar, Montgomery, who's pretty good. But he's got Carson Steele now, right? Got Carson Steele. Hit up pretty big during the waiver period.
The next Peyton Hillis, maybe? Question mark? Could he possibly? Okay.
Stage Peyton Hillis.
Right. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Moving on.
It sounds like the Chiefs are trying to get what's his name back into the fold real quick. They just signed him.
Kareem Hunt. He's on the active roster now.
There we go.
It's gonna be a 3-way committee probably this week, and
I believe he was the one laughing, saying Hunt wasn't even signed last week. Was that him in the chat?
Yeah, and I said, he's gonna. It won't be till next week. And here we are. Yeah.
Nope, here we are.
That was great stat calling, Tim. Yeah.
Well, nobody would have expected him to be active right away. Like they just signed him off the street. They got to at least give him a week to practice and whatnot. So I'm sure he stayed in shape, but yeah, I didn't expect him to be out on the field in his first game like 3 or 4 days after signing. So, but that's. I don't think Carson Steele necessarily ran away with the job last week. So,
not at all.
We'll see. Kareem Hunt looked kind of washed when he last played
last year.
He's familiar at least with the offense. So, who knows? But.
He just lost Jayden Warren to some time. Addison might come back, but he's starting Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman is just not – that style of play is not conducive for the way Anthony Richardson throws the ball, plays quarterback, so production is going to be super low there. Again, Olave can be boom or bust depending on how Derek Carr goes. We just talked about the Derek Carr experience can be so volatile. So Andrew spent big on Isaiah Likely after that first blow-up week, and since then Likely hasn't done anything.
Anything at all. Yeah, it's been brutal. To be fair, the starting tight end there hasn't done anything either, but having the backup, is a choice.
Is a choice. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's a choice I would avoid, and so there's going to be a lot of questions for Andrew when he can hopefully get that first win. He does play Edgar this week. So, Edgar, if he does get that first win against Edgar, does Edgar start hitting, Edgar was talking very highly of his 2-0
Indeed, he was. We needed to spend more time on his team.
Yeah. So if Edgar goes to 500 after playing his last 2 matchups and losing to Andrew, does Edgar start going out there reach for a trade? Who knows?
I think he might. I think you would have to kind of panic if you lose to Andrew, give him his first win. You would have to panic and try and make something happen with your team. Rob has extra receivers. It seems like Edgar has extra running backs. Maybe there's a deal that they can work out.
That's a good call out.
Yeah. We'll see. I know Andrew told me, at the week 1 that he was going to be sending videos to everybody that he beats. I haven't really seen any videos appear in the chat, and then I went and checked. And, he's 0-3. That's why.
Oh, he sent a video to someone that he didn't beat. So.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? I guess. Yeah, I'll have to go back and see who that was.
But
that's what he should have been doing: sending videos of people he's gonna not beat. That would be.
Ooh, there we go. I would like to see some of those.
But we'll see. Maybe he'll have his. Maybe he'll finally have his first win when he plays me. He'll score 150 points out of nowhere, and then
I look forward to seeing that. If that does happen, then Tim, you might need to retire. I don't know what else you can do.
Yeah, 150 against me, and then 50 the following week. Back to normal, but we'll see. So I think that's week 7, or I forget when I play him, but
okay,
it's
mid-season.
It's not looking great, definitely. So he's got some tough matchups this week, so we'll see how it goes. But
yeah, because this is the rematch of our loser bowl, correct? Edgar and Andrew.
That's correct.
This is the rematch. Okay, the revenge game. Edgar revenge game. Yeah.
But last year, Andrew did have McCaffrey, right? And that's what won him. Did
he?
Who did he have? He had someone that he kept that
Commander's defense, right?
No, he didn't play them. He
did not.
Had him on roster.
He did not.
But he had someone that we were all trying to pluck, and he would not give up.
Cooper Kupp, I think.
Was it Cooper Kupp?
Maybe it was Cooper Kupp. You're right. It was Cooper Kupp.
I think he had Cooper Kupp last year. Yeah.
And he would not give him up. He said, because Cooper Kupp's going to keep me out of losing the championship. He called that. He actually called that shot. So
yeah, because Alex had McCaffrey last year. Yeah.
Yep. That's
so.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think Andrew's going to let go of McCaffrey. He's going to ride that, even if he comes back in week 12 and say, okay, even if I'm 1-10, I'm going to ride McCaffrey into not taking last place again. So
he also hasn't put him in his IR spot either to make him, open up bench room. Maybe he needs to ask his girlfriend for a little extra allowance money so that he can afford the $5 a week to get an extra bench spot.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're 0-3, you got to start using these rules that we give you, these tactics. I mean, we give you the extra bench spot. If you have a guy on IR, you $5 a week, use it. Especially if
I just picked up a guy to put him on IR just so I could use it.
Yes, I am aware. Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that. I thought I could wait an extra week. That was a good move, Tim.
We'll see. I mean, but I'm desperate at this point. I don't care if I have to hold on to him for a month.
I saw the move, Tim. I thought it was brilliant. And Cody, remember your reaction theater in week 1? How much money is going to be in that IR pot?
I was I was I think I said 100 or maybe 150, and you predicted it would surpass 200. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I was wrong. It was severe underreaction. Yeah.
That's why I said it was an underreaction too, because I anticipated I was going to do something like that myself, just to kind of stash a guy and then open up another spot. But yeah, I mean, there's I think at least 4 or 5 of us now, if not more, that have a guy on IR.
Done it multiple weeks. And Ricky and Andrew potentially could have, but it looks like both of them are choosing to forego it and not use it. Ricky had, I think Mostert was out and could have been put there, but instead of using that spot, he forgo using it.
He is 2-1, so
Yeah.
Ricky was the guy that put a $2 bid in on Derek Carr when multiple people had put.
I cannot believe I could have gotten Joe Burrow for free though.
I was shocked by that.
Surprised me as well. Yeah, but I did call. Manny talked about his prediction with Carr. I did predict Ricky would not go back to the Burrow bin. He did not put a bid on Burrow at all. Once he's done with the guy, he's done. That would
nobody did though.
Me, but yeah,
nobody did. Yeah.
There were a bunch of bids. There were a bunch of bids on Carr, and I'm the only one. I could have had him for free. I thought for sure, at least against the Commanders, he would get some action, but
you would think so.
What a world we're living in, right? When Derek Carr is the hot commodity and Joe Burrow's just the trash heap.
Yeah, imagine that.